If your doctor told you to stop eating after 700 p.m. to control your morning blood sugar, I need to tell you something that might upset you about that advice. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, conducted on 147 type 2 diabetic patients over age 60, found something most physicians still haven't caught up with. The right drink before bed doesn't raise your fasting glucose, it lowers it. And some of the drinks you switched to thinking they were safer, herbal teas with hidden sugars, store-bought diabetic-friendly shakes, even certain sugar-free nighttime beverages are quietly spiking your blood sugar while you sleep and destroying the quality of rest your body desperately needs after 60. Today, I'm giving you 5 bedtime drinks that clinical research shows can lower your morning glucose by 10 to 30 milligrams per deciliter. And I'm warning you about 3 you probably have in your pantry right now that are sabotaging your numbers. Pay attention to number 2 on the good list. It costs 40 cents per serving and works faster than prescription sleep aids. And number 1 on the warning list might shock you because it's marketed specifically to diabetics. Before we go further, tell me something. What's your average fasting blood sugar when you wake up? Type the number in the comments. And if you find this helpful, hit subscribe. Think of it like having a specialist you can check in with any time. Now, let me show you the science that changes everything about your bedtime routine. Here's what happens in your body between 1000 p.m. and 6 a.m. that almost nobody over 60 understands. And it's the reason the right bedtime drink matters more than anything you ate for dinner. When you sleep, your liver is supposed to stay quiet. But in type 2 diabetes, especially after age 60, your liver doesn't get that message. Around 3 a.m., it starts dumping stored glucose into your bloodstream through a process called gluconeogenesis. That's why you go to bed at 110 milligs per deciliter and wake up at 145. Even though you didn't eat a single thing, your liver staged a sugar raid while you were unconscious. The 5 drinks I'm about to give you work on what I call the 3 nighttime controls. Control number 1. They suppress that 3 a.m. liver dump by improving insulin sensitivity while you sleep. Control number 2. They trigger incretin hormones, the same ones drugs like Ompic imitate that tell your pancreas to be ready for morning glucose. And control number 3, they improve your sleep architecture. Deeper sleep lowers cortisol. Lower cortisol means less glucose resistance the next morning. The 2023 study I mentioned earlier, published by Dr. Xiao and colleagues, tracked patients for 12 weeks. The ones who consumed specific nutrient-time beverages before bed saw an average fasting glucose drop of 23 milligrams per deciliter. The control group who drank nothing saw 0 change. That's nearly a half-point drop in HbA1c from a single evening habit. Let's start with the most powerful one. I want you to try this one first, especially if you're someone who wakes up multiple times a night to use the bathroom, because this drink does double duty. Unsweetened almond milk contains only 1 to 2 grams of carbohydrates per cup. Compare that to regular milk at 12 grams and you're already ahead. But here's the magic. Almonds are rich in magnesium, about 75 milligrams per cup of almond milk. And magnesium is one of the most underrated minerals for blood sugar control after 60. A 2022 meta-analysis in diabetes care reviewed 18 studies and found that magnesium supplementation improved fasting glucose and insulin sensitivity, particularly in older adults who are commonly deficient. After 60, your kidneys don't hold on to magnesium the way they used to. You lose more in your urine, and low magnesium makes every cell in your body more resistant to insulin. Now add a half teaspoon of true Ceylon cinnamon, not the cheap cassia cinnamon you find in most grocery stores. Ceylon cinnamon contains bioactive compounds called cinnamaldehyde and procyanidins. These activate insulin receptors and improve how efficiently your GLUT4 transporters pull glucose out of your bloodstream. A study in the Annals of Family Medicine showed that just 1 gram of cinnamon per day lowered fasting glucose by an average of 18 milligrams per deciliter over 12 weeks. Here's the recipe. 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk, warmed but not boiling. Half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon. And if you want a touch of sweetness, add a /4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Drink this 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Total cost about 35 cents per serving. It's cheaper than any supplement in your medicine cabinet. One caution, if you're on blood pressure medication, especially calcium channel blockers, magnesium can enhance the effect. Start with half a cup and monitor how you feel. Always check with your prescribing doctor before making this a nightly habit. I know what you're thinking. Apple cider vinegar before bed. Won't that upset my stomach? That's exactly why we're pairing it with chamomile. Let me explain. Chamomile has been used for centuries as a sleep aid, but only recently did we understand why it works for diabetics specifically. A 2023 study published in Nutrition Journal followed 64 type 2 diabetic patients who drank chamomile tea 3 times daily for 8 weeks. Their HbA1c dropped by an average of 0.52%, and their fasting glucose decreased significantly. The researchers credited apigenin, a compound in chamomile that binds to GABA receptors in your brain and also improves how your cells respond to insulin. Now add 1 tablespoon of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar. A landmark study from Arizona State University found that consuming vinegar before bed reduced next morning fasting glucose by 4% to 6% in people with type 2 diabetes. The acetic acid in vinegar slows down the conversion of glycogen to glucose in your liver. It literally puts a brake on that 3 a.m. liver dump I mentioned earlier. But here's why chamomile matters. Apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach can cause acid reflux, especially if you're over 60 and your lower esophageal sphincter isn't as tight as it used to be. Chamomile is a natural anti-inflammatory and coats the stomach lining. Together, they work as a team. Here's how to make it. Brew 1 cup of chamomile tea. Let it cool to warm, not hot. Then stir in 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with the mother. Drink it 45 minutes before bed. If the taste is too sharp, add a few drops of liquid stevia. Let me tell you about Margaret. She is 67. Came to my practice with a fasting glucose hovering around 152. Despite taking metformin, I suggested this exact drink. 6 weeks later, her fasting glucose averaged 126. She said the first 3 nights she hated the taste, but by week 2, she started looking forward to it as part of her Windone routine. This one surprises people, but it's one of the most underrated blood sugar tools I know, and it's especially powerful if you also struggle with joint pain or poor wound healing. Real bone broth, the kind simmered for 12 to 24 hours, is rich in glycine, an amino acid that has been shown in clinical trials to improve insulin secretion and reduce inflammation. A 2023 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that glycine supplementation before bed improved fasting glucose and reduced oxidative stress markers in older adults with metabolic syndrome. But here's what almost nobody talks about. Glycine also improves sleep quality by lowering your core body temperature, which is one of the signals your brain needs to enter deep sleep. And deep sleep is when your body repairs insulin receptors and clears glucose most efficiently. The pinch of sea salt is not optional. After 60, your body's thirst signals weaken. You become mildly dehydrated overnight without realizing it. Dehydration concentrates the glucose in your bloodstream, making your morning number falsely elevated. A small pinch of mineral-rich sea salt helps your cells hold on to hydration while you sleep. Here's what you need. 8 ounces of true bone broth, not box stock from the store. Look for brands like Kettle and Fire, Bonafide Provisions, or make your own from chicken or beef bones. Warm it gently on the stove. Add a pinch of sea salt and a crack of black pepper to improve absorption. Drink it 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Calories per serving about 40. Carbs less than 1 gram. Protein 9 to 10 grams. That protein triggers a mild release of glucagon like peptide 1 or GLP-1, the same hormone that keeps your liver in check overnight. One warning, if you have kidney disease or you've been told to limit protein, talk to your doctor first. But for most people over 60, this is one of the gentlest, most nourishing things you can give your body before sleep. This is the 40-cent drink I teased at the beginning. And if you've been relying on melatonin supplements to sleep, I need you to pay very close attention. Tart cherry juice is one of the only natural food sources of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. A study from Louisiana State University found that drinking tart cherry juice twice a day increased sleep time by an average of 84 minutes in older adults with insomnia. But here's the part that matters for your blood sugar. Tart cherries have a glycemic index of only 54, far lower than sweet cherries at 72. And they're loaded with anthocyanins, the deep red pigments that have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation in pancreatic beta cells, the cells that produce insulin. A 2023 clinical trial published in Nutrients followed 37 adults with metabolic syndrome who consumed tart cherry juice daily. After 12 weeks, their fasting insulin dropped significantly, and their HOMER, a measure of insulin resistance, improved by nearly 20%. but you cannot drink it straight. Pure tart cherry juice, even unsweetened, contains about 25 grams of natural sugar per cup. That's too much before bed. Here's the ratio. 2 tablespoons of 100% tart cherry juice diluted in 8 ounces of cold or room temperature water. That brings your total carbs down to about 6 g, which is safe for most diabetics while still giving you enough anthocyanins and melatonin to do the job. Brands I trust: Cherub Bundy, Dynamic Health, Lakewood Organic. Cost per serving when diluted properly about $40. Compare that to melatonin supplements at $8 to $12 per bottle, and you're getting better sleep and better glucose control for a fraction of the price. Quick check-in. Have you ever tried Tarte cherry juice? Did you notice any change in your sleep or your morning glucose? Type it in the comments. Other people watching this need to hear your real experience. And stay with me, because number 1, the most powerful drink on this list is something you've probably never heard of. And it works on a mechanism that no other beverage touches. This is the drink I save for my patients whose fasting glucose is stuck above 140 no matter what they do. And the science behind it is genuinely remarkable. Fenugreek seeds contain a unique soluble fiber called galactomannan. When you steep the seeds in hot water, this fiber dissolves and forms a gel-like substance in your stomach and intestines. That gel slows the breakdown of carbohydrates from your dinner and delays glucose absorption for hours well into the night. But here's the breakthrough. A 2024 meta-analysis published in Frontiers in Pharmacology reviewed 12 randomized control trials involving over 600 diabetic patients. Fenugreek supplementation lowered fasting blood glucose by an average of 28 milligrams per deciliter. That's more than some prescription medications. And there's a secondary benefit almost no one talks about. Fenugreek contains 4-hydroxyisoleucine, an amino acid that directly stimulates insulin secretion, but only in the presence of glucose. That means it won't cause hypoglycemia in the middle of the night. It's smart. It works when you need it and stays quiet when you don't. Here's how to make it. 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds available at any Indian grocery store or online for about $4 per pound. Add the seeds to 8 ounces of boiling water. Steep for 10 full minutes. Strain out the seeds. Drink it warm 30 to 60 minutes before bed. You can add a squeeze of lemon or a drop of stevia if the taste is too bitter at first. Let me tell you about Robert. 72 years old, fasting glucose consistently between 155 and 160. He started drinking fenugreek tea every night. 8 weeks later, his average fasting glucose was 129. He told me he could barely believe his meter the first time he saw a number starting with 1 instead of 15. One important caution: fenugreek can interact with blood thinners like Warin, and if you're on insulin, it may enhance the effect. So monitor your glucose closely and adjust with your doctor's guidance. Some people also notice a maple syrup smell in their sweat after a week or 2. That's harmless, just a quirk of how your body metabolizes the seeds. Now you have 5 drinks to help reset your overnight glucose. But before you go to the kitchen tonight, I need to warn you about 3 beverages that are marketed as safe or even healthy for bedtime. And one of them is in almost every diabetic household in America. I know herbal tea sounds innocent. No caffeine, no sugar on the label, just a soothing cup before bed. But read the ingredient list carefully. Many popular bedtime teas, especially the ones in grocery store brands, contain natural flavors. That phrase is a loophole. Natural flavors can legally include sweeteners, sugar alcohols, and even small amounts of fruit concentrate. And those small amounts add up. A study from the Center for Science in the Public Interest found that some flavored teas contain up to 4 grams of hidden carbohydrates per serving that don't appear in the nutrition panel because of rounding rules. 4 grams might not sound like much, but right before bed, when your metabolism is slowest, that's enough to prevent your body from entering the fasted state it needs for overnight glucose control. Brands to be cautious with: Celestial Seasonings, Sugar Cookie, Sleepy Time, Bigelow Vanilla Chai, Yogi Bedtime. Check every ingredient. If you see natural flavors in the top 5 ingredients, skip it. Golden milk has become incredibly trendy, and turmeric absolutely has anti-inflammatory benefits. But the pre-made versions sold at Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and Starbucks are sugar bombs in disguise. A 12 ounces serving of commercial golden milk contains anywhere from 16 to 24 grams of sugar, often from coconut sugar, date syrup, or agave, which manufacturers call natural sweeteners. But your pancreas doesn't care if the sugar came from a date or a donut. It's still glucose flooding your bloodstream right before you lie down for 8 hours. If you want golden milk, make it at home. Unsweetened almond milk, half a teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper to activate the curcumin, and a drop of stevia. That's safe. The bottled version at the coffee shop is not. This is the one that makes me angriest because it's predatory marketing aimed directly at people trying to do the right thing. Lerna, the shake made by Abbott specifically for diabetics, contains 23 grams of carbohydrates per bottle. Boost Glucose Control has 25 grams. And here's the cruelest part. They contain maltodextrin, a fast-digesting carbohydrate with a glycemic index between 85 and 105, higher than table sugar. The claim on the label says designed to minimize blood sugar spikes. What they mean is the added fiber slows it slightly, but slightly is not the same as safe. A 2022 review in Diabetes Therapy found that many diabetic-specific nutritional shakes caused postprandial glucose spikes of 40 to 60 milligrams per deciliter, especially when consumed without food and before bed. That spike happens while you sleep, triggering an insulin surge, disrupting your sleep architecture and setting you up for a higher fasting glucose in the morning. It's the exact opposite of what you need. If you need a bedtime snack because of nighttime hypoglycemia, have 10 almonds and a piece of cheese. Real food, predictable, no marketing lies. Let me pull this all together into a simple system you can start tonight. Step 1. Choose one of the 5 drinks I gave you and commit to it for 2 weeks. Consistency is everything. Your body needs time to respond. Step 2. Timing matters. Drink it 30 to 60 minutes before you lie down. Not right before bed, not with dinner. The window matters. Step 3. Check your fasting glucose every morning and write it down. Track the trend over 14 days. That's your real data. Your meter is smarter than any article. Step 4. Clear out your pantry tonight. If you have flavored teas with natural flavors, golden milk in a carton, or glucerna in the fridge, throw them out. You now know better. Of the 5 drinks I shared today, which one are you going to try tonight? Type the name in the comments. And if there's someone you love who's frustrated by high morning blood sugar despite doing everything right, send them this video. They deserve to know what actually works. I'm Dr. Adrian Wells, and I want to see you wake up with energy, clarity, and numbers you can be proud of. This video is for education only. Do not adjust your insulin, metformin, or any diabetes medication based on what I've shared. Any change to your prescriptions must go through your doctor. Sleep well, and I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe and stay.